Hello, welcome to my Hardspace Shipbreaker tutorial video. This is the first of these videos that I've done, so hopefully it'll go okay. This is the first ship that I felt the scrap of it was pretty good. Got about 12 million credits out of it in a single shift, and I'm going to be focusing on the heavy cargo Gecko for this one. I've been practicing quite a bit on it, and just going to go through a single shift and show some of the tricks that I use to get this thing torn apart as quickly as possible. So starting off, you see the arms there. Throw tethers on the arms, and the tethers will automatically deconstruct them, detach them, and then suck them down. So you can fire and forget. Here we pull out the cutter. A couple easy cuts here.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Tether those bad boys out. And it's helpful to get rid of the antenna so it doesn't block the armor plating moving in the future. Here I'm going to shoot down the side, and I'm going to hit 4 of those cut points at the same time. And at this point, if you're going in about 1350 or sooner, you're doing pretty good.
Airlock pressure levels dropping.
Lost a little second there. Probably could have done that faster. So there's a good amount of cargo here. I knew this was going to be a pretty good haul. There's a bug in the game right now where if you open the door as soon as you depressurize, it'll cause the depressurization to stop and get stuck halfway, so you got to wait for it to finish. I'm using Z to hold on to the walls and also to propel myself forward a little bit quicker in case there's a depressurization event. So one of the tricks with this ship is that there are heat sinks along the side of the airlocks, and if you don't detach the heat sinks, it'll prevent certain moves from being made down the road. Here we open both the airlocks and then split the walkway just in front of them. That'll allow the airlocks to be moved later. And because this is type B of this ship, we have to cut the top rear portions, the cut points, before we do anything further on. Otherwise, this will come back to bite us. Unfortunately, we got a green foam cut guard up there, so grab a little light, reel it in, blast away. Now when I cut the nose cone, you cut all 3 of these at the top, but you want the middle part of the nose cone and the off cockpit side of the nose cone to be stuck together, so I'm not going to cut the cut points on the right. I'm not sure if it's a bug, but it's a strange feature where if you lightly touch a certain component in the cockpit, the nose cone goes flying off. I'm not sure why, but there we are. I think I used 10 tethers here to get this thing out of the way as quick as possible. You can use less, but 10 is fast. I think here I use like 12. Just because there's a little bit extra mass, because you're holding onto the nose cone center, you want to use a couple more tethers to move it a little bit quicker. I don't think this heat sink is attached to the hull, but it's good to detach it anyways. At this point, we're going to peel the outer hull. So I think this is going to take 10 or 12 tethers. 12 makes it go a little bit faster. And that whole piece of the hull just goes flying off. Now at this point we need to unleash the cargo pods from the lower part of the outer hull. So we're going to burn that center trestle there. There's 4 of them here in the cargo hold. Don't worry about the cut points. You'd have to do twice as much cutting if you cut the cut points. So we're just going to take the center support. Okay, pull out the split saw, and we're going to cut the cage around the reactor. This can go wrong really easily, so you got to be very, very careful before you pull the trigger. All that fuel and stuff back there, not pretty if you miss.
Deposit not accepted.
Not much to say here, just more cutting. Now that that's done, we're going to cut all the cut points on the bottom of the ship, starting with the right-hand side first. And if you're close up, it's faster to use the split saw, but for medium and longer range, you're going to want to use the stinger. Especially when you're shooting around filled pipe like this with the coolant, you definitely want to use the stinger. I actually missed one right there. I'm going to turn around and get it in a second. Switch back to the stinger and do a 180-degree roll. That sets you up to go back on top of the ship and fly forward to peel the right outer hull. I got 13 tethers and I'm going to burn all of them right here. You want to aim just inside that illuminated corridor, maybe a little bit outside of it, and make sure you aim to the left, because if you go straight down or you go to the right, the outer hull will get stuck.
Head on over to the kiosk if you need more.
There's also a bug with the master jack where if you approach it pulling yourself on the tether, sometimes it will disable and you won't be able to buy anything, and it's a run killer. Okay, so here we're going to pull to the low parts of the corridor, middle, the top, and then the ceiling. And because we've got a double wide piece here, we're going to use 2 tethers on what are referred to as the floor. And that pattern usually works pretty flawlessly without any of the tethers getting crossed and being disabled. We're going to do the same thing here. Low, middle, high, ceiling, floor. Oh, these are all double wide, so we're just going to go double tethers for all of them. Okay, a little bit more cleanup work for the bottom center outer hull.
Object processed. Credits deposited.
I don't really have this part down to an exact science yet. I'm sure there's probably a better way I could do it. I just don't know what it is yet. It's definitely time-intensive process. I think there's definitely time that could be saved here. So when you're doing these crates, if you ever have a stack of 3, you want to detach the middle one. Once you've detached the middle one, use your tethers to start pulling from the bottom up. So get the lowest ones first and then move up a level, and then get the middle ones, then get the high ones. You don't need to detach if there's only a stack of 2. Your tether will automatically detach them. But for a stack of 3, it's not a reliable way to get them apart. Good amount of cargo in this ship. Not as much as I would have liked, but it's not bad. Still waiting to crack 13 million. I've never cracked 13 million on a single shift. Okay, now that those are gone, we're going to get this heat sink out of the way and move the airlock. And if you remember in the very beginning, we cut the walkway. This is the reason why. If the walkway wasn't cut, we wouldn't be able to pull the airlock.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Disassemble the center of the 3. Tether the rest. And left airlock.
Not accepted. Please
3 tethers should be fine. I'll get it out of the way quick enough. 4 might be okay too.
salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Caution, tether supplies are low.
So I'm a little behind schedule here. Generally at the 5-minute mark, I like to be pulling the inner hull forward, but I'm still messing around with the reactor at this point, so I'm definitely behind a little bit. This is actually probably a mistake. I shouldn't have done this at this point.
Valuable object processed.
Now I'm down to 4 tethers, and I can't pull the reactor with just 4, so I'm going to get this heatsink out of the way and refresh up to 50. And I think this is the final refresh I have to do.
Welcome to Endertron 9000.
Okay, so we're going to pull the inner hull forward. At this point, we're going to want to use 5 or 6 tethers, and I accidentally miss and drop one onto a heatsink there, so ignore that one. But we're going to want 5 or 6 tethers to pull this chunk forward. And as it's moving forward, we're going to do the reactor work and also detach the engines. But first we're going to do the ECU, so we burn the floor.
Salvage secured. Account credit.
Make sure you don't nick that pipe, otherwise you're going to lose the ship. No need to grab these, just detach them, it's good enough. As soon as the pipe is empty, stinger it. And then stinger the ECU's connection to the wall. Go up, turn the reactor key. And if you turn the reactor key while the inner hull is moving, it'll actually clip you inside of the console, which is kind of annoying. So I think they're going to fix that in the future. So with the reactor, obviously, as soon as you hit it with the tether, you're going to want to detach it with your grapple gun as well, just to get it out of there faster.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
It's important not to detach the walkway from the power generator until you've turned the reactor key. Otherwise, you won't be able to use the reactor key console. That's why I waited to do it until after I flipped the switch. The entire reactor assembly that you saw just there moves very, very easily. So even if it's large, you can move it very quickly. And throw it in the processor. And we're going to move the rear outer hull. And I think 6 tethers is what I use here. But basically just aim them just like that and it'll float right in. Now this side of the outer rear hull is still connected to the center because we skipped a cut point earlier. So I'm going to use, I think I use a couple more than 6. It might be up to 8. There's really no downside. It's towards the end of the run, so. A little bit of sloppy tether in there. Put one on the skeleton just to sort of aim it in. It's not necessary to do that though.
Valuable object processed.
Okay, now we're going to get the inner hull moving towards the furnace. And we're going to detach the skeleton piece there. I think I used 10 or 12 tethers for this. There's really no downside to using a lot because we're down to 1:12 left. Just make sure that however many tethers you use, you distribute them evenly between the left and the right. You can go crazy and aim it by putting more on one side than the other, but it's not necessary most of the time.
Down, Cutter.
don't forget that power generator at the very end. It's very easy to forget it. Lose a couple 100,000
Salvage
credits.
secured. Credits deposited.
Now the skeleton piece, when you pull it in, it's good to hold the rear of it with your grapple gun, just to allow the front to aim into the processor a little bit more easily. Other than that, everything looks good. Just a little bit of junk floating around, nothing necessary. All the crates made it into the barge. Life is good. And
Processing valuable
that's it.
object. Credits awarded.
Pretty solid run. GG. 12 million for 15 minutes work. Not bad. Here's the salvage list. I don't know why, but for some reason, whenever I look in the lower right-hand corner and it says press the E button to complete shift, I read it as complete shit, as in like it's a subjective analysis of the run I just did, and it always hurts my feeling. My one feeling of rage. Anyways, that's it, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.